Welcome to day 32 of our one pose a day for 100 days. Today's practice is going to be a nice twist for the spine. It's called Bharadvajasana 1, or a seated twist. Optional to use the chair if the floor and the position of the legs and knees is just not comfortable for you today. So have a chair nearby. Also optional blocks if we need to lift the floor, so we have something to press down into to lengthen our spine. Otherwise, let's get started. Let's start seated, whether in your chair or on a blanket on the floor. Sitting up nice and tall. Let's take a nice few arriving breaths together. Take a nice inhale, reaching your palms overhead. Nice stretch of your spine. Exhale as you lower the arms wide. Continuing, raise the head, look up towards the hands. As you exhale, lower the chin to the chest. Letting yourself arrive to your one pose practice today. Let's take one more nice big breath, drawing the palms overhead and exhaling, palms together and down. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to demonstrate first and then we'll practice together. It's great in these poses, we're going to hold them for several breaths, just getting a nice opening, twisting of the spine. So twists are really good for spinal flexibility, also helping to wring out all the abdominal organs, the digestive system. Imagine like a sponge, wringing out a sponge, and then when you release it, it draws in a whole bunch of nice new fluids, clearing things out. So, but the thing about twists, you want to make sure you have a nice elongated posture, giving as much space between the vertebrae of the spine. So as you twist, it does do some compression, but you want to make sure we're not slouched already and twisting, because that will put a lot more pressure. Be mindful if you have any disc issues or low back issues, talk to a doctor first, please. Or just make it very gentle and twist from the upper chest and not down into the lower back. All right, I'm going to demonstrate with the chair first. So I'll move this off to the side. So a chair is a really great way to twist. I'm going to turn the back of the chair to face the screen. But what you're going to do is sit on the side of the chair. So you want a chair that has no arms to it. I'm sitting facing the side of the chair, and I sit my hips back far enough where my feet can still comfortably touch the floor, with my ankles right under my feet. And then I bring my legs and my knees together. And as I sit up nice and tall, keeping a nice erect spine, shoulders relaxed, I'm going to take a nice inhale and imagine that breath drawing all the way up to the top of my head. As I exhale, I turn towards the back of the chair, and I use my hands to hold the chair back. Try to let that back shoulder especially release down. So find somewhere on the chair back that you can keep the shoulder down. So whether it's pressing against the back of the seat, holding the side of the chair, again, I'm lengthening, getting really tall. Front hand grabs the edge of the chair seat or chair back. And then I start to turn, shoulders, upper chest, keeping the knees gently together. The hips will move, but trying to keep that back hip or that front hip on the front of the chair seat sort of drawing back, hips in alignment. And then I let the head follow around without forcing it. You can lower the chin just slightly to make sure we're not throwing the head back. And then we'll take several breaths here. And as we breathe, we think of that breath all the way up through the crown of the head. And as we exhale, we engage just a little bit more of the twist, feeling that nice rotation of the chest, the shoulders. And then you'll turn and you'll switch sides. So I'm going to demonstrate next on the floor, Bharadvajasana. Couple options. You can do straight on the floor. You just want to make sure you can keep your spine straight. Or we use our blanket to lift our hips slightly off the floor. You can also sit on a block. So as we come into our position, if you find the lower back is rounding, or the legs, for example, will come into this position, are just too high and that's not working, you can sit on your block, get a little bit higher. Maybe the blanket on the block would be better, give you a little padding, and then use the other block behind you as a prop to raise the floor, and we use this backhand as a little tripod to lengthen our spine. I'm going to demonstrate with the blanket and how the leg position goes. So if the knees, the hips are not happy this position, then definitely try the chair and then do some of those nice hip openers that we've been practicing for the last 30 or so days. And as soon as the hips start to open, if the knees are happy, you can come back to this seated version. So I'm sitting forward on my blanket in Dandasana pose, feet straight out from my hips. I use my hands and I'm going to draw my heels over towards, I'm mirroring you, the right hip. So this left foot can be under that right thigh, but as long as, see if I'm leaning on that left hip, I'm going to try to bring the hips nice and level, sit up nice and tall. If that's just a little bit too much for knees or hips, you can take a wider stance of the knees. Perfectly fine. I personally like this myself. I feel a little bit more stable and erect. And then we'll take the left hand behind you on the floor. If you can't reach the floor comfortably, use a block. That's your prop, your tripod to sit up nice and tall. We'll take our right hand outside the left knee. Before you turn, however, take that nice inhale, get as tall as you can. Nice inhale there. And then as you exhale, you turn towards the left and you let the head follow. Try to keep that back shoulder down, both shoulders relaxed, nice long spine. And then we'll hold there for several breaths. So let's start together. Whether you're going to use the chair, bring the chair along and sit to the side of your chair with the hips all the way back. Or let's start on the floor together. Maybe have a block or two nearby. So if you're sitting on a block, make sure you feel stable. We'll start with the legs straight out in front of you. If you're sitting in the chair, remember knees together. Take the hands behind you to lean back. Draw the feet over to the right side of you. Decide whether you want that left heel under the right thigh or maybe a little bit wider knee stance. And then roll those hips forward, sit up nice and tall, shoulders relaxed. Take your nice inhale and lengthen. As you exhale, turning towards the left. That right hand comes outside the left knee or thigh. And your left hand is on the floor or the block behind you, turning the shoulders, the upper chest. Feel a just gentle groundedness of your hips on the blanket, the floor, or the chair beneath you. And allow the head to turn softly around without straining or forcing, keeping the gaze slightly downward. Take a nice inhale as you lengthen up the spine all the way through the crown of the head. As you exhale, just gently think about engaging softly a little bit more on the twist. Don't force that to happen. Again, trying to keep the hips nice and level. If you're using the chair, remember to keep the shoulders relaxed and down. Either position really, but the chair we tend to shrug our shoulders up a little bit more. Keeping the knees together if you're in the chair, feet softly grounded on the floor. Let's take a couple nice, full, easeful breaths as we hold this twist. Imagining all the organs, abdominal organs, digestive organs, like a little sponge, wringing them out. And as you exhale next, release. Come on back to center. If you're on the floor, lean back, stretch your legs out in front of you. You can just bounce the legs softly, roll them in and out. Get a little bit of maybe that stiffness out of the knees. Let's do the other side. So if you're in the chair, just turn around to the other side of the chair. And we'll take our legs on the floor over to the left side of us. Set up to have your hips relatively level. Sit the spine nice and elongated. Take that nice inhale as you lengthen. As you exhale, start to turn towards the right. Left hand comes outside that right knee or thigh. And that right hand behind you on the floor or the block. pressing to keep your spine nice and tall and elongated. Allow the head to turn just as far as it's comfortably around towards your right. Gazing slightly downward. Remember to let the shoulders release down away from the neck. Take your nice inhales, lengthening all the way up the spine through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, just releasing a little bit more into the twist. Remember, if you're sitting, just notice if you're starting to round the lower back, try to lengthen, sitting nice and tall with a nice neutral spine. As we take a few more breaths here, just checking in, noticing sensations in the body, remembering if there's any areas of discomfort or pain, come on out of that. 2 more nice full breaths. Imagining all that nice fluid will be getting into the organs as we exhale next, release. Come back to center. Lean back. You can turn and sit back normally in your chair again. Sitting on the floor, Dandasana pose, bounce out the legs, roll them in and out, and then come into whatever positions, nice propped seated position for our nice closing breath together. Thank you for joining our practice today. Let's take one nice closing breath, inhaling, palms overhead. Exhale your palms together and down, gazing at your own fingertips. Send yourself gratitude today for honoring your body, honoring yourself, and honoring all others. Thank you all for joining this one pose practice today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave some comments, what feels good to you, or what other poses you might like to see in this 100 days. I'll see you next time.